Consort Christie. Mike has come all the way from London to entertain you today. He's the Town Crier's Piper for the Loyal Company of Town Criers. In addition to that, Mike is a Chelsea pensioner. Old sod. He hasn't come up in his red Chelsea costume because he's playing the pipes, but he is wearing the pipe costume of the Royal Hospital Chelsea, and he lives there with many other veterans that have served this country over a long time. And as you can see, he's got a chest full of medals. He bought most of them in the NAFI. We think he won the other couple in the punch-up, but we're not sure. But this is our very great, valuable friend, Mike Shanahan, and his consort Christie. Thank you.
Right, we have power back. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now going to go into round 2 of the very first Liverpool Town Crying competition. In this competition, we are going to ask the Town Criers to make a proclamation about Liverpool. However, we thought there might be some bit of a crossover if we just said cry about Liverpool. So each of them has a distinct area or part of the city or subject related to the city that they will cry about. So we shouldn't hear any two the same, though there may be words that interlink. Now I would normally, as the host town crier, do what's called a benchmark cry. So for the benefit of all you who weren't here to hear my dulcet tones this morning, here we go. Calm down, calm down.
Liverpool, the city with a heart. We have so much to offer, I don't know where to start. Maybe you like cathedrals. In that case, we have two. For football fans, we've two great teams. One red, the other blue. We've fine historic buildings set in many places. You should start off by the Pierhead and visit the Three Graces. If shopping is your forte, you can't beat Liverpool One. Then stay on for our nightlife. You're sure to have some fun. Our city's full of talent with humour through and through. So, sing along with Liverpool and say, you love me do. God save the Queen. The Queen. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was my last and final ever proclamation, because today I retire.
Town criers, who will be judged by this wonderful array of people over there sat nervously watching and wondering what's going to happen next. And starting off is a very good friend of mine who's travelled all the way from somewhere down south, further away than here, Ken. Ken is pleased to make his second appearance here in Liverpool. His first was early this morning. On stage, he made his debut at 2. After that evening matinee, he appeared again in the evening show at 7:30. Hang on, we'll just rewind. On stage, he made his debut at 2, and after that matinee appearance, he appeared again in the evening show at 7:30. This afternoon, his chosen subject is Liverpool's buildings. Accompanied by the lovely Marilyn from Lichfield in Staffordshire, Mr. Ken Knowles.
Impressive, grandiose, iconic structures dominating the city skyline. Stunning architecture, jewels in the crown of this Merseyside metropolis. The most well-known, the Royal Liver Building, towering above the city's waterfront, an edifice to the opulent Edwardian era, the city's most famous landmark. Two fabled liver birds perch upon the two clock towers. Were they to fly away, Liverpool ceases to exist. Along Pier Head stands the Cunard Building, erected during the Great War. Its palatial style, a neoclassical mix of Italian Renaissance and Greek revival. Decorative sculptures flank the sides. Yet, this urban El Dorado has not one, not two, but three graces. The Port of Liverpool building completes this UNESCO-designated World Heritage Maritime Mercantile City. God save the Queen!
So we'll get on quickly with our next contestant. Our next contestant is the first of two ladies. In fact, she's the first of two sisters. One representing the Lancashire area and one representing Chesterley Street in Durham. So they have their own little competition going on between the two of them, regardless of this one. So here we go then. Hilary. Hilary is a town crier of Garstang, a small market town in Lancashire. She's retired and now spends much of her time travelling, gardening, walking and talking. When she was a young student nurse, one of her tasks was to ring a large brass bell to encourage visitors to leave at the end of visiting time. She's hoping that her bell ringing will not have the same effect on you visitors here to Liverpool today. So, from Garstang, I'll be great pleasure to introduce Hilary McGrath.
Jerry.
Sorry. I do apologise. Mistake number 7. 8. Oh, thank you, Matt.
banks thousands of years ago. Dangerous to traverse in rowing boat or wherry, long before Jerry and the Pacemakers immortalized crossing it by ferry. Shipping brought goods and people from far and near. Trade and industry meant a great city grew up here. The Mersey became polluted, and the poor fish all died. And the view wasn't pretty from the waterside. Some sailed off to seek their fortune in the new world far away, taking part of Liverpool to wherever they chose to stay. Now, the Mersey hosts famous Cunard cruise ships, and the ferries for tourists' sightseeing trips, with interesting things to see whichever way you turn. And the water is quite clean again, so the fish can now return. God save the Queen.
The Queen. A big thank you there to Hilary McGrath from Garstang, not too far away. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are thinking of staying a while, when this is over at approximately 3 o'clock, we'd like to try and find a little boy or little girl who could be our champion today. So when our contest is over, the town criers are going to come amongst you and see if any of your children would like to take part. We have got a little trophy for the best boy town crier and a little trophy for the best girl town crier. So please hang around and get your children to come along. Don't forget, I'm retiring today. One day they might re-elect the town crier. You never know. So here we go. Our third contestant, unfortunately, couldn't make it this morning because he was busy in his hometown doing a midday proclamation, which he does throughout the summer months from Tuesday to Saturday. It's the only place in Britain where regularly midday proclamation. But Chester is also the only place that selects its town criers on the basis of their photogenic good looks. I didn't write this, ladies and gentlemen. David implores you all to pave his way to the podium with your warm and generous applause. So please welcome, all the way from the city of Chester, Mr. David Good-Looking Mitchell.
Just docked in Liverpool Harbour brings a lot
That proclamation was, of course, from around 1775, just before the Americans did get their independence, and Liverpool was still trading tea over there in the United States. So, on the judges, sat on Thunderbird 2, that fine silver machine at the end, is our our president. If I don't read out what he told me to read out,
9.
he'll sack me.
9.
9. Can't find it. Now, I'll say what I wanted to say in the first place. No, I'll read it, you're all right. Okay, our president, El Presidente.
Yep.
Sounds like there's going to be a riot soon, doesn't it? John has been Biddulph Town Crier for 25 years and being our president for the last 2. He's a former British champion and a winner of many titles down the years. He loves being our president, saying it's nice to be shouted at by his many town crying friends instead, of course, of shouting at us. But not by his wife Sue, God help us. Sorry, God help him. So, David is checking for errors and mistakes. This came about because many town criers... John is checking for many... that's Matt, that's 9.
9, 10.
Oh, God.
Well, 11 now.
You're making them up as you go along.
We're not.
John is checking for errors because many town criers in the past were responsible for legal proclamations. And of course they could not make mistakes, because if they gave out a vocal mistake and it was heard by the population, that was what the population would think to be the truth. So they had to be very, very accurate in what they read out. And for this reason, that's why John is checking all the contestants today. So we move on, ladies and gentlemen, to our next town crier, Terry. Terry is an award-winning, classically trained vocalist and actor. Appointed in 2011, he has taken to the role of bellman and is endeavouring to maintain the proud tradition of the bellman in Ockley, including regularly sampling and acclaiming the high quality of the town's ale. It's a job we all guard jealously. Incidentally, one tradition Terry is not keen to uphold is that of the Ockley bellman in the year 1614, who had the doubtful honour of being the last person to be sentenced to death and being hanged in Ockley in that year. So, all the way from Ockley in Yorkshire, my very good friend, Mr. Terry Ford.
The docks of Liverpool are nowadays officially cool. For centuries there has been a port, but its history has sometimes been fraught. The Cheshire cheesemongers objected a lot when a port was proposed in this auspicious spot. They lost their fight, and soon granite-rimmed docks appeared, it seems, overnight. Connected by canal to Leeds, an eastern oasis. They were noisy with goods and emigrants heading to foreign places. The dockers' umbrella ran overhead and kept the city moving, so it has been said. The docks have seen the return of cruise liners that upset Southampton, resulting in a spat. The docks almost died, but now they expand becoming ever more and more grand. The extent of expansion remains to be seen, but for now, God bless Liverpool docks and God save the Queen!
Thank you very much, Terry Ford from Otley in Yorkshire. Moving along the judges panel, the lady just on her feet at the moment collecting bits of paper is Sue Robinson, our President John's wife. Sue's a retired bank manager, having retired 15 years ago. She's been adjudicator at town crier competitions all over the country and loves the fact that she can now blend into the background after 20 years as husband John's consort. Sue is also the membership secretary for the Loyal Company of Town Criers, to which we all belong. I now move along to contestant number 5. Next contestant is Peter Taunton, accompanied by his wife Maureen. Both Peter and Maureen's parents are from Liverpool, so they feel like Liverpool is their second home. To be here in this first Liverpool competition is like a dream for them. Please come along and say hello to them, as they want to meet as many of you as possible. And if any of you know of anybody resident still in Liverpool with the surname Taunton, Peter would like you to let him know, because they may owe his dad some money. So, all the way from Newport in Shropshire, Peter and Maureen Taunton. Thank you, Peter and Maureen Taunton from Newport, Shropshire, and my apologies to Tranmere Rovers and that other club. Another judge sat there in the middle of the table of 5 judges, Mr. Rick Myers. I asked Rick to come along because Rick is the man who designed and created the Spirit of Liverpool emblems that you can see on the winners' trophies here. He supplied them for me for the competition, and he's also responsible for the original design. There's a large one on display in Liverpool Central Station and one on the Wall of Fame in Matthew Street. Rick is also a student of the history of the Liver Bird and a Liverpool Football Club supporter, and also Tranmere Rovers. That other club didn't get a mention, did it? So, on to our next contestant, number 6. Number 6 is a gentleman I'm grateful, very grateful for being here, because he stepped in at the last minute and he's come a long way, all the way from deep, darkest Lincolnshire, where they have webbed feet, webbed fingers and all sorts of things like that. So having served in Her Majesty's Armed Forces, this proud and handsome Welshman, I didn't write this one either, whose passion, apart from his wife, is his Ford 2.8 litre V6 engine trike. He settled in Sleaford in Lincolnshire over 30 years ago. And when Sleaford Council advertised for a replacement town crier, he was bombarded with messages saying, "You've got a big mouth, go for it." So he did, and here he is. It has been said that he is shy, not true. Quiet, not true. Can bark like a dog, haven't heard him, yes he can. Can cry like a baby, and sings like a tenor. That was only a fiver. So, from Sleaford in Lincolnshire, Mr. John Griffiths.
The region boasts 3 historic football clubs. Everton!
Yay!
And Liverpool!
Yay!
Are 2 of the Premiership's finest teams, with Tranmere Rovers in League One. The City region is world-class destination for golf. It is home to England's Gulf Coast, the finest stretch of championship golf in the world, with no fewer than 3 Royal Links courses, which have hosted endless Open Championships and Ryder Cups. These include Royal Birkdale, Royal Liverpool and Wallasey Golf Club. Horse racing is huge in the city too, with Aintree and Haydock racecourses offering top quality racing, including the world-famous Grand National Festival at Aintree each spring. These are some of the reasons why Liverpool is renowned around the world for sport. God save the Queen.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, sir.
Well, we're halfway through the final round of the competition, ladies and gentlemen. 6 have gone, 6 to go. And before we move on, I'll just mention our last 2 judges. No, I won't, because I've put in about them at the beginning.
Where we belong.
12. Anyway, it's Matt and Julia. Matt and Julia are directors, managers, bosses, bigwigs, very important people here at the Museum of Liverpool. And without their fantastic support and help, we would not be here putting on this event for you, the citizens of Liverpool. I thank them immensely for allowing me the privilege of being here today and inviting my friends to be here with us. They're our main sponsors. Thank you. They're our main sponsors, and it's a delight to be in this amazing building here today, to let you see how town criers throughout the country, how they function, how they represent their towns and cities as ambassadors, and how they come along in a sporting way and try and beat a very good friend and then turn around and say, yes, you didn't deserve to win after all, when they really know it should have been them. So here we go. Contestant number 7. Les Cuts has been the Halifax town crier since 2001. In 2003, he became the bellman of the borough of Calderdale, and in 2012 became the crier to the town council of Hebden Royd. He's been married to his consort Julie for 26 years, and they have a son, Simon. Les says if he had to remarry, it would be to town crying because he loves it so much. Julie says, you know where the door is. Les Cuts, crier to the town council of Hebden Royd, bellman to the borough and the Halifax town crier with his consort, Julie. Welcome, Les.
A tune from the 60s. No, it was the iconic Super Lamb Banana on the Tythbound Street, Liverpool. A sculpture developed for the 1998 Arts Transpennine exhibition. The sculpture is both a comment on the dangers of genetic engineering and influenced by Liverpool's history of sheep and bananas being common cargo in the city's docks. God save the Queen.
The Queen. And as you can see by Leslie's start there, we town criers are nothing but perfectionists, and we always start off with everything prepared so to make sure that nothing will go wrong. Thanks, Les. We come along now to Town Crier number 8. Remember I mentioned earlier, ladies and gentlemen, if any boys or girls would like to be chosen as Liverpool's top junior Town Crier, this afternoon is a chance. When this competition is over, a little bit after 3 o'clock, we'll be asking young ladies and young men to come forward and have a go here on the podium and see how they can do. And for the best young lady and the best young man, there will be a trophy to take home today. So here we are, contestant number 8, ladies and gentlemen, Peter Powell. Town Crier of Lymm and the Barony of Dunham Massey for 25 years. That's 3 of us celebrating 25 years this year. Peter Powell.
The Museum of Liverpool is the story of Liverpool from the beginning to an epic like Charles Dickens' Crossing on the Ferry. Food and museums go together in my life, and in Liverpool it's very good. God save the Queen!
Thank you, Peter. I noticed you kept the best museum until last. Did you notice that, ladies and gentlemen? Which was, of course, the Liverpool Museum, where we are right now. Well done, Peter. I now have a great pleasure to introduce to you, I believe, the world's tallest town crier. I'd see him if he would stand up. I don't know where he's gone. Oh, he's over there. Yeah. So standing at a mere 7'2", this hirsute gentle giant has been the town crier for Shrewsbury, which one? That one. Shrewsbury for the past 35 years, which is pretty good because he's only 27. On leaving school, he became a test pilot for Airfix, but he couldn't get in the cockpit. So he became a driver for Matchbox Toys. Not a lot of future in that one either. His dream job was to have been a thermonuclear physicist, but he couldn't spell it, so he became a town crier. Accompanied by his lovely consort Sue, would you please welcome Mr. Martin Wood from Shrewsbury. You don't need to stand on that, you're tall enough. Oh, right. I'm scared, mate.
The year 1150 saw monks pulling hard on their oars, carrying people across the Mersey. The ferry had been born. A steamship came, christened the Elizabeth. She carried alone from 1815 before being joined by her sister ship, the Etna, in 1817. In 1914 came a king and queen, ferried across on the Daffodil. George and Mary seemed keen. The Great War came and the steamers answered the call. Iris and Daffodil raided Zeebrugge, their hulls filled with British heroes all. But in 1414, William de Slaney, a servant of my lord, John Talbot, the Earl of Shrewsbury, was viciously attacked by 200 local men, and goods to the value of £15, 3 shillings were stolen, just because he bought a season ticket to Manchester United. God save the Queen! The Queen!
15 shillings and sixpence. I would have bought quite a few Manchester United players in those days, wouldn't it? Not today. So we're on to Town Crier number 10, ladies and gentlemen. Only 3 left. This is our second lady contestant and the sister of the first lady contestant. A retired teacher, Town Crier for Chesterley Street since 2003. She enjoys knitting, jam making, time spent with family, and particularly her 5 grandchildren, including soon-to-be 7-year-old twins. That is, soon-to-be 7-year-old twins, yeah, not soon-to-be twins. Kept busy with church activities, visiting friends, theatre visits, and making jam. This used to be only once a year for the church autumn fair, but is now what has been described as industrial quantities for fetes and festivals 4 times a year. You would have done better with the judges if you brought some samples, you know, Marjorie. So here we are from Chesterley Street in County Durham, Marjorie Dodds.
Creatures mythical to all Liverpudlians and football followers, a symbol of this great city and its football team. Throughout Liverpool's history, since 1207, a bird has appeared on the city's seal, variously described as eagle, dove, spoonbill, or lever. In 1797, on the city's fronted crest, described as a cormorant with popular appeal. Landmarks on the towers of the Royal Liver Building since 1711. Bella and Bertie overlook the Mersey and can be seen far and wide. Bella looking out to sea, Liverpool's prosperity. Bertie looking to the land, watching over the people. The Mersey Chamber Building, close to the city's parish church, houses another. A fourth is here, in the Museum of Liverpool, for all to see. Carved from stone and saved from old sailors' home. God save the Queen.
That's the last of our Lady Town Criers, Marjorie Dodds from Chesterley Street in County Durham. My penultimate town crier of the day now has come all the way from the East Riding of Yorkshire. We have a lot in common, Michael and I. He was in the Royal Signals, I was in the Royal Signals. He was a paratrooper, I was a paratrooper. I became a town crier, he even followed me in that. I don't know whether it's been haunting me for 30 years or what, but there's been something going on there, I'm not too sure. So on first becoming a town crier in 1997, to introduce himself to his county residents, wearing his full town crier's livery, Michael circumnavigated the 300-mile border of the East Riding of Yorkshire on foot. It was a charity walk in which he raised £2,514 for guide dogs for the blind. Well done, Michael. He says he was destined to become a town crier, having been trained for free while standing on the terraces watching Hull City Football Club and crying buckets of tears for real. What a shame they're not any better nowadays, Michael. So, from the East Riding of Yorkshire, my great pleasure to introduce my very good friend, Mr. Michael Wood.
Majestic, beautiful, culturally iconic. No, not town criers. What I'm extolling are Liverpool's two great cathedrals. In this city of big hearts, two of the biggest are surely Liverpool Anglican Cathedral and Metropolitan Cathedral of Christ the King. Whether your politics or football are red or blue, the church doesn't hold grudges. Well, not much. Liverpool's cathedrals are always open to all, even people from Manchester. In pubs and on terraces, when hearing, you never walk alone, it rocks. When heard in either of Liverpool's cathedrals, it is spine-tingling. Both located appropriately on Hope Street, may they continue giving hope and unite.
uniting the city. Helping maintain them, I now pass my hat around for a collection, and with typical Yorkshire generosity, I begin with a £10 donation. God bless the 96. God save the Queen.
Thank you, Michael. For those of you who may have been observant at the beginning, Michael didn't ring a bell. Well, it's fairly traditional in this country that town criers ring bells, but it's not an essential requirement. An audible warning device or alerting device is what's required. People around the world use drums, they use trumpets, they use cymbals, but mainly people do use bells. So Michael using the little hunting horn that he has there is quite acceptable as a device to attract your attention. We now come to our final town crier, ladies and gentlemen, after which we will be looking for boys and girls to enter our junior competition. So finally, our ultimate town crier of the day, and also our newest town crier. He's been the shortest time in the role of town crying, but he's learning very fast and he's doing incredibly well. I hate him. He's colourful, he's larger than life, he's a sub-postmaster for his sins with a passion for life, town crying, and truly loves keeping history alive in these modern times. Alongside being an avid carp fisherman in his spare time, it's fantastic to be here today amongst some of the best town criers around in such an amazing city. So, representing the town of Southport, just up the road, Mr. Darrell Council.
A surreal Liverpool tale of anyone who had a heart, I will tell, of famous musicians and stars, born, bred, and some still dwell. Off the ferry, across the Mersey, with a flock of seagulls and some beetles they did land. Then down Penny Lane, Scylla, Pete, Jerry and Frankie strolled hand in hand. At Strawberry Fields they did meet Lily the Pink and the Woollyback, who declared, "You will never walk alone, little children, whilst under the liver bird." The power of love between two tribes was atomic. Its sound and Mersey beats did echo through the ages, from Irish folk to African rap, the colourful punk rock, to the Liverpudlian Judies. The beat goes on, in Scouse and establishing Liverpool, the world of music. God save the Queen.
Well, it's all over.